It is my goal to beat the game of Pokemon Yellow every single week in a solo challenge using all 151 Pokedex entries for this game, and this week we are taking a look at Wartortle. Since it's the beginning of the year, we've been taking a look at the starter line here for Kanto for Generation 1, and we've already taken a look at the middle evolutions this year for Bulbasaur, which was Ivysaur, and for Charmander, which is Charmeleon. So today we're taking a look at Squirtle's evolution, Wartortle. And Wartortle is one of the Pokemon that I think a lot of people point to as being an easier Pokemon to start with for this generation. It doesn't have certain types of struggles that Charmander, Charmeleon, Charizard have, but you also have to remember that when you're doing a solo challenge, there are other components that go into this. So yes, Charmeleon has a harder time in a lot of the kind of type lineups, right? However, it does have access to Sword Stance. And when you look at Wartortle and the moves that we've got a lot of water, got a lot of normal. There's a few of the fighting type moves in there, but they're all not very good within Generation 1. Luckily, we do have coverage with Ice Beam that's going to help us out with any kind of grass type Pokemon, obviously Lance's Pokemon at the Elite Four. And then also, of course, we have access to Dig. Now, Dig is going to be great for people like Lieutenant Surge, because obviously Thunderbolt will absolutely destroy Wartortle. It's going to be great against other people like a lot of the Team Rocket people that have the Poison type Pokemon, Koga, the Poison type gym leader, and Agatha, who is the quote Ghost type leader, but really all 5 of her Pokemon are also Poison type. The typings in some of the situations in this game are a little funky, but you know, listen, we're doing what we can. Now, the big thing is that Charmeleon and Ivysaur both have Sword Stance. And in Generation 1, that is really, really great to have because of the badge boost glitch. A thing that happened in Generation 1 only, where every time you use a move that boosts something, if you have a badge that boosts another stat, that boost gets reevaluated and re-added onto the new number. So every time you use Sword Stance, you're not only moving your attack up, but you're also moving up your speed, your special, and your defense if you have all of the badges that connect to those parts of your Pokemon stats. The thing for Wartortle is that we don't have access to that. The best that we have is Withdraw, and it only goes by one stage, so it's really slow. It's going to take a lot of time to really set up. There's going to be a lot of times where, at the very least, until we get certain badges, using Withdraw isn't really going to do much for us anyway. So there's just sort of a lot of moments in here where I feel like, Wartortle is going to move really quickly in the beginning, but then we're going to struggle in sort of the middle-ish game, and the ending is going to be kind of up in the air. There's going to be, some interesting moments here with some of the coverage that we have from things like Ice Beam. And, obviously Body Slam is always there for us to use. Surf is a great utility move. It does a lot of damage, but it's also used for movement. So, there's kind of give and take throughout the game, in my opinion. Some of the Pokemon might have a slower start, but really start to ramp up, especially once you get a move like Sword Stance. With Wartortle being the way that it's laid out, I think it's going to have a pretty quick start, and then it's going to slow down in the middle. And then the question is going to be, can it pick up enough speed in the end? And I know that technically I'm not officially speedrunning just yet, but I always do try to go at least somewhat fast. I want to just sort of see if I can get a decent enough first time through all of these Pokemon. And I feel like on paper, Wartortle should be faster than at the very least Charmeleon, but all these factors aside, I guess there's only one way to really find out. Now we are finally at Brock, and obviously this is just a 1 and 2, and he is done, so we get to move on pretty quickly. And with that sort of fast exit, that means that we're going to be getting to Cerulean with pretty decent time. I'm going to be going up against the rival just barely past the 10-minute mark. Well, really by the time I pick up that rare candy and check on my health, it's closer to the 11-minute mark, but still, it's looking pretty good for Wartortle. After this fight, we're going to go up through the Nugget Bridge and then make our way back to Misty. Misty we probably could do before the bridge, but at this point, I just sort of feel like I'm going to have to heal anyway before I make my way to Vermilion, so I might as well work my way up, then heal. then badge, then heal again on my way out. Although this time I do have to heal before the bridge anyway, because I took a fair amount of damage there. Now, I also don't know if I necessarily need to fight this optional trainer here in the gym. It does help me get up one extra level, which in my opinion is going to be helpful, not for Misty, but more for Lieutenant Surge. I'm not using a lot of the optional trainers along the way, really in any point of this game. So, kind of looking at Wartortle's durability, maybe is the word for it. When I go up against someone like Lieutenant Surge, I kind of want to have just at least a little bit of extra something there. I'm certainly not going to outspeed him, so I need to make sure that if I do get hit with something, that maybe I can survive one shot. Now, before anyone comments, by the way, that I'm using Bite here instead of Mega Punch, I know Mega Punch does more damage, but Bite has a better accuracy, so it just sort of felt right to me. A lot of the times, I'm the kind of person that will take less damage, but more accurate, just so I don't waste more turns with, oh, you missed. And that's actually one of the main reasons why, now that we are here at SSN, we are picking up Body Slam, and I'm going to teach Body Slam instead of Mega Punch. Body Slam is possibly my most used move in Generation 1. I kind of feel like it's an equivalent to Return in Generation 2, 3, and maybe even beyond. I don't know. I certainly have not done enough runs of other generations. 1 through 3, rather, are kind of my main bread and butter. But we have Body Slam now. We're just sort of cruising along, and this is the third time we've gone up against this rival. As you can see, Body Slam alone just really rinses through his team. Even with one accuracy debuff, we still make it all the way through here. We're now at level 30, which, oh boy, I'm hoping. It's always a sad thought to think that Lieutenant Surge could win. Never feels good. As you can see, he definitely outspeeds me. He goes for Mega Kick. Somehow I don't one-shot it, and then it uses Growl. So, just a throw and a half. He should have just gone for Thunderbolt. Oh, God. I don't understand him. But I guess you don't need to understand him in order to defeat him, or at least not to defeat him and then move on. But this is the part of the game where I knew the slowdown was going to happen, and yet I don't think I was really prepared for just how bad it was going to be. At this point, Ice Beam is the only move that I have that's really effective against all three people. Dig, obviously, I know it says it's doing less damage, but it is a physical attack here. So for the Pokemon that have technically a lower defense, maybe that's going to be the better choice. Because, they're also poison type, so it is technically super effective against the ones that are not Tangela. Tangela is the only solo grass type Pokemon. Whereas Execute and Executor are the only other grass types in the game that are not grass poison, but they are a different dual type. They are grass psychic. So for the other two Pokemon, for Weepinbell and for Gloom, Dig should actually be not awful, but we've seen me use that move in the past. But getting through Tangela with 8 health is just not good. Withdraw is something that I'm setting up mostly to boost my attack so that Dig can do more damage, but it's not going to do anything for my special. My special is still struggling. My special is still lower than I think we would really like to see it, at least in terms of also having their specials be not too far off from where mine are, and then they're using moves that are special type moves, and of course super effective. So it's just sort of all compounding. Withdrawal is not really doing a lot for me. Again, it's just making Dig a little bit more powerful, but that's not really the best possible way to win here. Really, Ice Beam should be the end game. But considering we don't have a huge boost on this move yet, and nothing is really going to help make it do more damage other than just sort of leveling up a little bit, I did fight the one last optional trainer to try and get us there, but then they get a paralyzed, and that's bad because now that I'm attacking second hand, yeah, see, they get the drop on me on that last move. Even though I survived the first Petal Dance, it's just a recipe for disaster. So, as always, after I've had a few resets and I just sort of don't see a line through here, I probably could have brute forced my way, but I don't want to waste a lot of time on a bunch of different resets. So I leave and I decide to go to the Pokemon Tower to fill out that sort of section, and we can start making our way towards the next section of the game, both in terms of the world and the places that we can go to, but also some extra trainers, some extra storyline that we could potentially make our way through. Like here, right now I've made all my way down through the bicycle path, or the cycling road rather, and then I have made my way to Fuchsia City and Koga's gym. I'm a little under the level, but also this is just one of those moments where I'm looking at this and going, okay, their defense really isn't all that great. I have a move that I can use to boost myself, get my attack up a little bit more, and then use Dig. I know Dig is not going to get Stab here, which is the same type attack bonus, but with all these other factors combined, I have felt that other Pokemon have been able to do this section like with less and still come out on the other side of it. But we are seeing that even the Venonats are, they're always 2 hits no matter what I do. And I forgot to level up before I came into this fight, so a lot of my work gets undone. And they're also using special type moves instead of physical moves. So I go back out. I realize that there's one juggler that I have not defeated, so I use him to go up a level before I come back to Koga. And here I'm going, okay, it's annoying that they keep putting me to sleep, but they're mostly using Tackle, at least on the very first guy. So now that I'm fully leveled up, maybe I can be lucky enough to get a bunch of withdrawals in. The problem is he keeps putting me to sleep, and in this generation, you waste a turn with waking up as well. It's not like other generations where you wake up and then immediately use your move. It's effectively the same as being asleep. You know, it's still a wasted turn. It means that on the next one you can use your move, but it's still not great. So here level 43 now, much higher than we were when we were here at Erica's gym. Just for a little bit of confidence, I've decided to come back. I get that 4th badge. Okay, I'm feeling a little bit better about myself, but still not exactly where I want to be. And I'm assuming that it is made apparent by the fact that we're back at Koga's gym. I'm not high enough a level. I don't know what I'm thinking here. I think that there's a little bit of a stubbornness, and again, like I said earlier, the desire to go faster than at least one of the other 2 Pokemon. But I'm out here and I'm really making a go of it. Again, my special and my speed aren't capable to get a boost, so it feels kind of like I'm wasting away this sort of withdrawal situation. So now we're getting desperate. Now we're using rare candies earlier than I would like to. Not that it necessarily makes a huge difference in the long run. At the end of the day, I'm still going to have those levels. I just like to level up as much as I can when the cap to reach those levels is lower, you know? But if you have to use them, you have to use them. So now level 48 with multiple resets. Honestly, again, still more resets than I probably should have at this point. I am now just sort of floundering. I could go to Silph Co, but at this point, it just feels like it's going to be yet another example of, okay, I spend some time here, it's not right, so I leave and then I come back. It just feels like it's a lot of backtracking and doesn't feel great. I used 2 more rare candies and now I have gone up to level 50. Oh God. All right, sure. And I honestly feel like the being put to sleep and then slowly getting chipped away is pretty bad. Then finally getting to a point where they start getting bold enough to start hitting me with toxic more often, and then watching it just all slowly drift away because I can't quite take them all out in one hit. Or honestly, technically 2 turns, but 1 hit, you get what I'm saying. It's not a good feeling. So eventually, after just sort of stubborn bashing my head against a wall, this time I come back at level 48 because I did not save after the last 2. So this time at level 48, taking a small step back, somehow I get just lucky enough. That was the RNG that we needed, just the right seed, if you will. And we get the win. I'll take it. Now, we're definitely slower than what I would like to be because of how long we spent on Koga. I mean, we spent some time on Erica, but not nearly as much time as we spent on him. And I think also a lot of that just comes down to the fact that he was slowly chipping away at me. I had to do so much work just to get a few withdrawals off. So there was just a lot of extra turns, and extra turns being burnt always add up to a lot of time. Luckily, we don't have that issue with the rival here at Silphco. At this point, I'm a decent enough level that he's not posing much of a threat, and so we actually take him out with most of our health intact. Maybe all the extra Koga training came in handy, at least in terms of Silphco, because it's certainly showing within all of the fights that I have here. As always, the Rocket Trio is just sort of a joke. I do like to show them at least once in the run, if possible, just because it's a nice little nod to the cartoon and to the characters that I would imagine most of us know or care about or enjoy, or at least tolerate. I mean, they spent a lot of time in that show. They had some longevity, just as much as Ash and Pikachu, so, you know, credit where credit is due, I suppose. Now against Giovanni, luckily we have a move that is super effective against 3 out of 4 of these Pokemon, so they are not hard to walk right through. Then we just sort of dig our way out, and now, luckily, we have that turn point within the gameplay. This is the portion where a lot of the Pokemon suddenly start speeding up. You don't have any more story to do. There's no more Team Rocket, no more kind of obstacles and sort of crazy things to do. There's a little bit of work that you have to do in order to get into the 7th gym, but if you're repelled up and you're, not having to deal with wild Pokemon, it does not take you long at all. There are nothing but optional trainers there. There's no one that you have to fight in order to move through. So, from here on out, it does start picking up in speed. Sabrina is quite easy if you have any kind of physical move against her. Then Blaine, I thought about setting up a little bit, but in the end, it doesn't really matter. I really could have just started with Surf and just kept hitting Surf, because it's right there. Now, I will say I didn't also think about the fact that I had technically boosted my attack more than anything else there, actually. So I actually could have done Dig, but also it's Wartortle. I want to see the water type move happen anyway. And considering Blaine was not a challenge by using Surf, even if some of them were 2 hits, I'll still take it. Now, Giovanni's last time. This is one of those games where for Wartortle, we did not go through the optional fight for Giovanni, so we've only seen him one more time than this. So this is the second and final fight here. And luckily, unlike some of the other Pokemon that we've seen somewhat recently, we have no struggles here. Surf takes care of, honestly, everything. I really didn't need to do anything else. I could have just hit Surf 5, maybe 6 times if Persian was going to live through it. But Surf, as always, carries us. After a quick little heal, it is time to go on to the final rival fight before he becomes the champion. This is the part of the video where I always mention that this is sort of the inkling of an idea of his team, of what that final fight is going to go like. You know that he's going to bring better moves into that final fight, but this does give you sort of a little bit of a picture of, if you're struggling here, you're definitely going to struggle against the final form. If he's super easy, then he might still be easy. But we're actually having an interesting section here, specifically because Cloyster doesn't have anything great against me, and technically me neither. But because of that, they're just spamming Supersonic, and it's doing all sorts of little chip damage, and like I mentioned earlier, just sort of wasting turns. We're burning through extra turns, adding on to the time. But luckily, since most of the Pokemon are underdeveloped, we'll say, once you get past that Cloyster, the rest of the world is your oyster. I don't think I cooked at all, but maybe that was something. Maybe I microwaved. And so then, therefore, we make it through Victory Road, and we are here at Indigo Plateau. I drop off all my Pokemon. We heal up. I'm going to go buy some full restores. This is actually something that I have not done before, but I actually go back to the PC and I drop off a couple items that I don't really need, just so in the event that I do need to do anything in my menu once I'm in the Elite Four, I should only see my ethers, my elixir, and then my full restores. Oh, and I guess technically the few rare candies that I have left. I still have 6, and I'm going to use 2 up front, save more for the fights later. This is one of those moments too where sometimes I save 4 just in case. Really, I just need to be saving 3. I don't think I've ever really struggled with needing to keep something going on for Bruno, but just in case, I do keep 1 extra on hand this time around. It's not like I'm going to need the extra level here for Lorelei. We are neutral to one another, but after just sort of doing a little bit of chip damage to make sure that it definitely goes for rest so I can finish setting myself up, now I still have more than half of my health going up against the rest of Lorelei's team. And so Dig is weirdly going to be the best move for me here. I think the main thing is just the fact that a lot of these guys do withstand Surf and do obviously for sure withstand Ice Beam. But Dig is, as you can see, I'm at 297 compared to my 298 for special. And a lot of those Pokemon have better special than they do for defense. So it is weird to say that the ground type move is the best choice for me there, but that's what it is. Then going up against Bruno's team, he will not be hard. Kind of like we were just talking about with Blaine, this is a place where I don't even need to do any kind of setup. I just use Surf across the board. Machamp is going to champ it out. It is going to take 1 hit. He's going to waste his turn with an X item. I almost said an X move. That's not even a thing. And therefore, we get the drop on Bruno. Up next is Agatha. Now, Agatha, this is a tough one. I mean, obviously, I've got Dig, but there is some sort of kind of funky stuff that she's got going on. Anytime she can get a Hypnosis off, or also pretty terribly, if she can get a Paralysis off, and then kind of keep me on the back half and constantly fighting against something like Supersonic, or potentially not being able to take attacks, she can still kind of do some decent damage against me. Luckily, it seems like we're okay. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. No, don't put me to sleep. Let's not do that. All right. Well, it's exactly what I just said. Can be a problem. Luckily, we're good. The one thing that I don't notice here, I will admit until a little too late, is the fact that I should have used one of those rare candies. I have forgotten to do so. So I'm in the middle of a fight where I'm going to level up in the middle. So it doesn't matter if I really do a lot of setup, because at the end of the day, it's going to get reset. The only thing that will stay the same is my defense from withdrawal, but my attack, my special, and my speed will all go back to normal. So, not great. I desperately needed that boost, because it's kind of the only way that I'm really going to make it through some of these Pokemon. Again, Psychic is not super effective against me, but if I'm paralyzed like that, yeah, unfortunately, it does have enough damage to make it through my special defense. Well, special's 1 stat in this generation, but you get my drift here. It's going to make it through my special. I'm not going to be able to withstand that with only 40 health left. And so we come back. Now, this time I have remembered to use my rare candy. Will that really help me? Ooh, I don't know. Will it? Unfortunately, while I'm setting up a little bit, it continues to use a Mega Drain, which is super effective against me. I'm going into the rest of the fight with less than half of my health. Not by a lot, just a smidgen, but it's enough to be in the yellow. Luckily, she has the weirdest and worst withdrawal of her life, and so she actually wastes her strongest Gengar. Her ace goes down. Arbok is not a challenge, so RNG is on my side. At this point, we are only about 4 minutes until the Charmeleon time, so it's actually possible that Wartortle could squeak this one out. going up against Lance, there's not really much great to go up against the Gyarados here, but because he keeps using Hyper Beam and we can survive those, it means that we can do just a little bit of setup. And then at that point, Ice Beam, of course, just clean sweeps the rest of the team. If you have Ice Beam, there's I'd say a 99% chance you're going to beat Lance. Like a 99% chance to beat Lance. That's how rhyming works. It's almost like being a poet or being a former musician. Kind of miss being in a band and writing songs, but I'm not going to write them about Pokemon, I'll tell you that. Now, what I am going to write about is withdrawal here at the champion. Not a transition that I feel proud of, but you'll have to take it. Now, I get a couple of the setups against the Sandslash because he doesn't have anything super effective against me. However, I do get leech seeded by the Exeggutor. I'm now at half health, or sorry, below half health is what I meant to say. I'm so sorry. And so at this point, it's getting a little dangerous. Spike Cannon is going to take too much of my health down. And so that's a reset. So, what is the best possible chance here? Do I even bother with setting up? I might be strong enough that I don't really need much. I think I did 2 or 3 on that last one. Maybe 1 or 2 is all I need. Either way, I mess around with it again. I actually go to 4. I am now back where I was. I go to 60. In my mind, in my mind's eye, in my personal thought process here, I'm looking at this and going, you probably could have done this on 2. And I think the main thing that happens here is that I was thinking about potentially taking Exeggutor down in 1 hit. I did not. I did, in fact, miss it. I got just a little bit of damage left over. And the RNG is in my favor. As Leech Seed misses, I take it down. Somehow the Cloyster also goes down quite easily, which means I am set up to take out the Flareon. And at 1 hour, 23 minutes, and 10 seconds, with 15 resets and at level 68, Wartortle comes in at about 1.5 minutes faster than Charmeleon, which was not that exact number being my guess, but I did guess that it should be faster than Charmeleon on paper. And so even though it weirdly struggled more, it made up for its flaws. It's something. And you know, at the end of the day, the win is the win. As always, you take them where you get them. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you've made it this far and you've enjoyed the content and you're not already subscribed, please consider hitting that button. I'm trying to make it to 500 this year. And anytime you subscribe, you share, you comment, any kind of interaction with the videos of smaller creators, it helps us out a lot. So thank you so much. I will see you all next week. As always, be kind to yourself and be excellent to one another. See you next time for another solo challenge in Pokemon Yellow.